Hey everyone. Good,
Yay!
good evening. Tonight, within the Cauldron episode, we are talking to our friends from Paranormal 411. Unfortunately, we have David here tonight and not Jason. Um, well, I should say, fortunately, we do have David here tonight and not Jason. but but Jason will probably be joining next time when we have them,
Yeah.
most definitely. But I just want to say hi to our co-host, Nico, my handsome cousin. There we go, and the lovely lady, Medium Red. So,
Hi. Hey, Nico. Hi, David.
Hello. How are
Hello.
you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good.
and David, the first question I would like to ask you is, the podcast. Now it says on YouTube your podcast has been since 2022,
hmm
but actually before the show, you was telling me actually it was back in 2012.
2012. Yeah. So
How long
we've
did
only
that?
been we've only been Paranormal 411 since then. So what happened is back in 2012, Jason and I worked together, and I
Mhm.
had a house that was really haunted. I mean, this place was fun. There's a little girl there that I had seen on several occasions and got to interact with and stuff. And so I was like, "Hey, Jason, come over and let's ghost hunt my house." And he kind of got so scared that after we went through some of the evidence, he wouldn't come back to my house for like 2 weeks. And yeah, he was like, "Nope, sorry." And for me, I started seeing spirits at the age of 3, and so it took me till about the age of 5 to where I wasn't scared of them anymore because they look like just normal people, and they would just appear in my bedroom at nighttime. And so I would wake up and there would be people standing in my room that I didn't know who they were. And so I would jump up and run to my mom's room screaming and crying that there was people standing in my bedroom. And so, the paranormal, since I've seen it my whole life, it's not scary for me anymore. And so, but for Jason, it was very scary because he was skeptical. He didn't really believe in all that stuff. And and so we decided to get together and do a podcast called Project Dark Corona. And so it was right around 2012. So one of our first shows was talking about the end of the world, um, Mayan calendar and all that stuff, and telling people it's not going to be the end of the world, but anyway, we done that for a long time. Now we weren't on YouTube for the longest time. All we did was um, stuff like Spreaker and stuff like that. So just podcast. Well, we've always done a live show. Our shows have always been live, but it's always been just the voice,
Mhm.
no faces, And so when we started doing paranormal, when we switched it over right during COVID, um, you know, the name of our show wasn't so cool anymore. And Project Dark Corona,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
so we decided to change the name and start it all over again. And Jason talked me into doing, the video stuff. And I was like, I have a made for radio face, not a made for video face. But said, I guess if we could get enough people to watch, it'd be all right.
So, what type of guests do you have? Is it all paranormal guests or just guests of all sorts?
All sorts. So we do Bigfoot, UFOs, aliens. We have a lot of psychics that come on the show. So we talk about everything from time travel to you name it.
Oh, cool. So,
Yeah.
mostly like what we do in a
Mhm.
way. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
cool. Wow.
Everything paranormal.
Similar.
Yeah.
Well, then that gives me the next question of, do you have any advice for us? I mean, we've been podcasting for a year,
Mhm.
going on a second year.
Mhm.
Everybody says we're doing good. So, but I don't know if you've seen our shows or anything, but what kind of advice do you have for a podcaster who's into all of that sorts?
So it's hard because there's so many people that are doing it. Be yourself. Don't try to be anybody else. Don't try to model your show after someone else's show. Because, a lot of people will see something and then they'll try to mimic it. You'll find your audience, just like we're still trying to do. We started all over again when we started Paranormal 411. And that was probably one of the hardest things to do. Um, but yeah, you'll find the right audience and you'll be better for it. It's just about not giving up, because a lot of people in this will just not think that they're seeing things coming, and they'll just give up. And that's how 99% of the people, most of the people in that do this within the first year or two think that, oh man, I'm not making $1 million yet. So it's not that easy. And they just quit,
Yeah. I think, well, I know I do it because I'm kind of like semi-retired, just collecting my 401 and having Chris with his pension and disability and stuff. So I'm just kind of hanging out, taking care of my daughter's family while they're both working stuff. So, so I just do it just for a hobby, actually, which I do like.
Do it because you love it. That's what you want to do it for.
Yeah, I do love it.
Money or anything else.
Yeah. Finding guests, I thought at first, well, it was pretty easy on the witchy side.
Right.
Because I know a lot of people on that side. And then we kind of changed it over to the paranormal side. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know very many, just a few. And then the UFO side. And now it's like, oh my God, I got so many people that it's like, okay, I'm trying to fit everybody in, but it's going to take months. I want everybody in 1 month, and I can't.
We've had years where we were booked up for 6 or 8 months ahead, and we had to kind of step back from some of that because things would happen. And then because at the time I was still a full-time truck driver. And so we was only doing shows on Saturday nights. That's the only time, because most of the time I would be home on a Saturday night. But then something would happen to where I had to go out. They had something that needed to go ASAP. And then we was canceling, people that had been on coast to coast, some really big name people, and we was having to cancel them and say, hey, let's rebook you some other time. And I kind of got tired of doing that, and so we started trying to fit it to my schedule, which as a truck driver at the time, that's a hard thing to do,
Oh yeah.
Really hard.
I know we have had some big guests that we was really proud of and nervous about. I think I get nervous more than anybody in the family, but I don't know why, because I spent over 30 years speaking to public, over 100 people, so 200. So I should be good at it, but for some reason it's a little bit different. I don't know why. Thank God I have Medium Red and Nico and Chris and my daughters to kind of
good support team. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And Medium Red, what are your questions that you have? I know you have a lot there for David.
Well, actually, I was kind of interested in your encounters with like UFOs or cryptids. Tell me a little bit more about that, because I'm really interested in hearing more about that from you.
UFOs, not really a lot. We had one sighting, maybe one sighting here at the house at one time. But I did have a Bigfoot sighting. As a truck driver. Yeah, as a truck driver. We were going through the Pacific Northwest, was up on I-90 cruising. It was nighttime. My wife did the daytime driving. I did the nighttime driving. It was just a lot easier that way. And we had already switched, and we was going towards Seattle. And it was about 11 o'clock at night going down I-90. And there was a fog bank, but it was like 4 cars ahead. If a car was about 4 cars ahead of you, you'd be able to see the taillights, but you wouldn't be able to make out the type of car it was. And so I'm just driving, cruising along. I think speed limit's like 65 miles an hour down through there. And all of a sudden, coming out of the median is a Bigfoot. and he is. I
Wow.
know if I pulled over, I could roll down my window and have a face to face conversation with him. He was massive.
Wow.
I think the thing that sticks with me the most, because it was just a quick sighting, it was a roadside sighting. I think the thing that was amazing to me is that me doing 65 miles an hour, him being no more than 4 car lengths ahead of me, him crossing, 2 lanes of interstate and both shoulders and going up the other side of a mountain before I could reach him. Like
Wow.
how fast it happened, how fast he was, for something as massive as that was. I'm still flabbergasted by it. And I probably drove for 20 minutes processing what it was I just saw. I was just like, no way. There's no way. And our very first guest we ever had on our show years ago was a guy named Matt Sieber, East Tennessee Bigfoot guy. And first thing I did was text him like, "Oh my God, you wouldn't think couldn't believe what I just happened to me," And but yeah, that's the one thing that I've ever happened as far as cryptid wise and stuff like that. That it was, I don't know, it was amazing. It really was. And I don't know why I kind of looked that way. I think maybe seeing something out of the corner of my eye coming up out of the median maybe or something, but I got to see full travel all the way across the interstate. It was neat. It really was.
And it's really cool how you put it in perspective as to the height of him, because semi trucks do sit very tall.
Yes.
So when you were stating the fact that you could roll your window down and like have a face to face conversation, that really puts it in perspective as to how tall he was.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Massive, massive. And cause you see him and he's coming across the road kind of sideways like this, but how wide he had to be about as wide as the front of that 18 wheeler.
Wow.
It was just massive. It was massive. It really was.
And you wouldn't think that a massive being like that, like you said, it makes complete sense that he was that fast. That
Yes.
he would be able to cross. What was the reactions of the other drivers? Were there other drivers around? Did they stop or he wasn't hit,
Yeah, no, what's crazy is that so on I-90, and this is what made me now it's 11 o'clock at night or so lights are on. But that stretch of I-90 all the way through, when it starts getting dark, it's a ghost town. You drive all night long and you might see 4, 5, 6 cars.
Yeah.
And so there was nobody.
Wow.
And at the point where we were, the median was so wide and there was so many trees that you couldn't even see the westbound traffic.
Okay.
The eastbound traffic, not the westbound. I was going westbound. But the eastbound traffic, you could not see the eastbound traffic at all. So, yeah. So it was crazy that he chose when I was there, because if he had just waited a few more seconds, I would have passed him by. And there was no one behind me. He could have passed through and no one would have saw him,
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy.
Wow. That is crazy. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome. Really awesome.
That's the paranormal I've seen more than anything. But like I said, that's been my whole life. Jason and I, we do paranormal investigations. We got to help a lady out this last weekend. She had a problem at her house where something was causing her distress. She couldn't sleep. Hadn't slept more than 2 hours a night for the last week or two.
Oh, wow.
And so she was just acting crazy because, you sleep deprivation will start doing that to you.
Yeah.
And so by the time we got done, she was happy. She knew that the entities that were there were not there to harm her. One of them was her husband or her deceased husband. And we caught that on the spirit portal. They actually had, I haven't even got to process the stuff off of that investigation, but there was probably a good 10-minute conversation between them two through the spirit portal.
Nice.
Where she was saying his name and that she loved him and he would say, "I love you too" back. And then she'd just bawl because she's like, that's his voice. So It's nice to get to bring some closure to something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and especially in the paranormal field, I mean, Chrissy and Nico and I talk about this with other guests, and it's, the persona of paranormal activity is always
Mm,
pegged as being demonic.
yeah.
And
Ah,
I'm a medium, a psychic medium, and so consequently I always get the calls too for residential investigations where they're like, I've got growling or I've got this or that, and it's demonic. And instantly I tap in at that moment in time and channel, and I'm like, well, it's a woman and it's this, and this. And, she's showing up on your maternal side, and, it sounds like your grandmother or something like that. And next thing you know, they go, oh, okay. So then they suddenly understand. But unfortunately, we have the shows that skew more towards that side. And unfortunately, it takes a lot of convincing from us in the paranormal world to be able to re-educate the people to say, not every single entity that you encounter is a dark or demonic energy level,
it's very rare too. And
Yes.
we try to say it a lot because we had a guy on our show, and he is um, a shrink for the Vatican, and he's their
Oh,
number one guy that they call in because they have to have someone come in and assess a person before they could even try to do any exorcisms or anything like that. And he's got a book out. It's called Demonic Foes, and it's funny because he said that less than 2% of any call that they ever get has anything to do with it. And the majority of the time, it's not anything to do with the possession. It's something to do with an infestation uh,
right.
when it does happen. And, but it's so rare that, it's almost unheard of. And, but, I live in the Bible Belt in the South here. And so it's hard for us a lot of times because we'll put out in places, hey, if you're having issues or something, we'll come and we'll try to help you.
Mhm.
Nope. We don't even do it no more because all we get is, oh, you're just talking to the devil, or you're just,
Yep.
you're going to bring the demons in and all this other stuff. And it's like, where are you getting this?
Right.
And it's not even worth fighting over because it's like, whatever, you have your belief system, and I know more truth than you do. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so it just, I'm not bringing my IQ level down to talk to you about it. So we'll we'll be done with this.
Exactly.
So, and it's bad to feel that way, but you know, uh, being from this area and having to deal with it all the time, you have to watch out who you could even talk to about certain things. And it's bad, but you just have to
Well,
learn.
it took me a long time to be able to tell people that I was a psychic medium, so I totally understand. I come from a Catholic family, so even between, I have two brothers right now, and one is leans more towards the aspect of accepting it, and the other one is still bucking the system a little bit. So it I know it's a challenge. Let's put it that way.
It is here too. In the Midwest, it's a challenge at times. Sometimes it gets a little bit better, or you think it's getting better, and then no, it's not.
Right.
But I just stay out in the open. I just don't care anymore. I'm almost 60. I'm just like, take me or love me, or hate me and leave me. So
We had an investigation get shut down not too long ago in this little town that we live in, and because of that very thing, we were going to do an investigation. We was actually going to do a live investigation because it was of a building, and they a bunch of people in the town got together, and then the owner of the building, because we was doing it for people that were renting the building because they were seeing a lot of shadow people during the daytime even, and stuff. So the building right next to that building has been around since before the Civil War, and it was actually used as a hospital during the Civil War and all kinds of other stuff. And so we was going to do an investigation, and they were happy about it because they asked us if we'd come down and do it. And then the owner of the building found out about it and said, "No,
Ugh.
absolutely not." Yeah.
I would love to know the history of, being an owner or something like that. I would love to know
Yeah.
the history of it.
Right. And we can be discreet about it. If you don't want us to post it, that's cool. Just
Yeah.
Right.
let us do it. We have some pretty old places in a town away from us that they let us. We've got to go there twice now and do their courthouse. And it's actually their courthouse. They still hold court there and everything, but we can't post nothing about it because the mayor wants to get reelected.
Oh,
And so he's fascinated with it, and he wants to hear all about what we catch, but we can't say where we caught it from,
right.
stuff like that. Yeah. So that's the glories of being in the South.
True. Very true. But I think that's probably more nationwide too. I mean, I have to say, we've had a couple. I belong to a couple paranormal groups where we've had one. It's interesting when you get somebody that calls in to do a residential investigation, and somebody like either the husband or the mother or somebody finds out about it, and the next thing you know, that's like, no, I've heard that if you do this, it stirs it up even more, and so no, we can't. We'll just live with it, or it's like, really, it's innocuous. It's
Yeah.
not bad.
Well, and I've found that most of the time when we
Right,
get
Nico?
into a place, it's rarely um, anything that is uh, to any point to where it's ever going to hurt anybody, or even if it is anything other than just something playing. It's
Mm-hmm.
there. It's not even. It doesn't even care that you're there. It's not even sentient of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of the time, that's what it is. When you hear footsteps going up and down the stairs, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Right.
it's residual hauntings.
Yeah, just residual. That's it. It's nothing else. Yeah.
Imprinted on the building.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Someone loved it so much that they're just still there.
Right. Nico, did you have a question?
Yeah, but what would be your most memorable investigation?
Oh man. Well, I mean that one we just did was probably one of the best because
Could
I've
elaborate.
never had a spirit box session where I've actually heard where two people were actually talking back and forth to each other.
Yeah, and for that long,
Yeah, for that
that's
long of a period.
really intriguing
Mhm.
because you may get like a single reply or a couple in a few minute segment, and
Yeah.
that's like the whole event,
Yes.
like for 10 minutes, and then just having them back and forth. That's really cool.
And it's the same voice for the whole time too. The same
Interesting.
male voice the whole time. It never changed. It's like that's crazy. And
Mhm.
when we first set up, I had a video or an audio recorder in the bedroom because she had a lot of stuff happening there, and an audio recorder in the kitchen area. The one in the bedroom drained the batteries like that. The batteries just were gone. Our video camera, we had to change the batteries twice. The second time, they only lasted 3 minutes before they were.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah, 3 minutes, and we opened the pack of batteries. It was like opening the pack of batteries and putting them in, and 3 minutes. That's it. That's all it lasted. It was nuts. We didn't get to break out the dowsing rods or anything, but now another really good one was when we was at the place over there in Madisonville. The place that cannot be named.
Oh yes.
We were down in the bottom, and that's where back when they still did hangings, they kept the prisoners in the specific cell before they went to the gallows. And we went in not knowing anything. By the time we got out, we knew a man's name, what he was there for, almost what happened. And so we was talking to the police officer that was there that let us in and stayed with us while we was in there. And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's so and so. Here, look, there's a plaque on the wall with him, and everything we learned was right there."
Oh
And it's,
wow.
this is insane. We knew nothing about it, and here's the story. That's neat when you could get that cooperation like that.
Mhm.
Oh.
You know, so Yeah.
To have the evidence back up what you've got, having the evidence back up, like the research aspect of it is phenomenal. I love that when that happens like that.
And you don't get it very often, but when you do, it's like, wow, here we are.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, as like I said, as a medium, it's like when you do a reading for somebody and have somebody go, oh yeah, that's my granny Genevieve, or something like that. You're like, okay, great. I'm on the right track.
Yes.
That validation. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and it's good when you have multiple pieces of evidence that corroborate that too, because a lot of people with like what I'm able to do when I'm able to see a spirit, right? We went to a battleground here, just at the border of Tennessee and Georgia. It's the second bloodiest battle in the Civil War. And when I got on the battlegrounds, I felt like someone stuck 100 pounds of weights on my back. And we got to a part of the battlefield, and I got out of the car to walk around a little bit and felt sick, felt like I was going to throw up. And that stayed with me the whole time we were there. We were going around this curve in the car because it's you could drive through this place and then stop and listen on the radio to what happened here during the battle and stuff like that. And when we was going around a curve, there was a Confederate soldier standing over on the side, and he took his hat off and he was waving it at me like this right here. And I was like, "Hey, everybody, you see him standing there?" They're like, "No, who?" And I'm like, "Never mind." Because I mean, it looked like a guy standing there in a Confederate uniform, So,
I do that sometimes too. I always see something, and I just won't say nothing to no one else because I'm just like, okay, maybe it's just me. I'm just not going to say anything. And then we would get home, and then like Chris or somebody would say, "Hey, did you see that?" I was like, "Yeah, I did. How did you see anything?"
well,
It's like, but doesn't want to say nothing.
it wasn't until we started doing Paranormal 411, this part of our show, before I had ever said anything over the air about being able to see ghosts. And I did that a lot because I'm very skeptical by nature, healthy skepticism. Not overly skeptical, but when I even see things, I second guess them, right? And I know what it sounds like to me when someone says things and I'm sitting there going, are you lying to me or are you telling the truth? Even though I know I can see these things, but at the same time, I'm like, how many people out there can actually do it? And then how many people say they can do it, And so I'm kind of skeptical. So I just didn't want to say nothing. I was like, I can't back it up. I can't say, hey, so-and-so is standing over there, or someone that looks like this is standing over there. What am I going to prove it? So I just went, never said nothing. It was easier that way. Because it's not all the time that you see something. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, and they look so real. I mean, like they're corporeal people. They look real. They're not like movies where they're see-through or they're bloody or anything else. They just look like a person standing there. And I told my wife, I'm like, I don't know. I might see 20 a day. I don't know, because they look like normal people. It's only ones that stand out that I'm like, I know what you are. I know what you are.
I had that happen when I was driving. I was driving to my husband's office one day, and I was going down the road, and it was 6 lanes, and I'm driving southbound, and next thing you know, I look over to the left-hand side, and there's a guy walking down the street. Same thing, exactly what you're talking about. He looks completely real. It's not see-through. It's not like it's a shadow figure, not a dark entity, anything like that. He is in a World War II uniform.
Wow.
And he's walking down the road, and I'm like, and like sometimes I don't know, because I wasn't in that channel mode. And so consequently I'm driving and I look, and then I was like paying attention to traffic and look back and he's gone, and I'm like, definitely that was a spirit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's similar for me too, where I used to work in a senior center, and
Yeah.
I was walking down the hall, and this like dapper looking gentleman, the bowler hat, full suit, with a cane's walking down the hall, and it's a senior center. Most of the our youngest resident was in their like mid 70s. So to see an elderly gentleman dressed like that wasn't super unusual.
Right.
Mhm.
And he was coming straight towards me, and like I tried to sidestep, and then like we were gonna bump shoulders, and I didn't feel anything.
Oh,
And I turn around, and he walks another like 4 steps past me and is just gone. And I'm just like turning around, like this man was like like so solid that I thought that we were gonna like bump each other in this hall.
yes.
But he didn't say anything at all.
Right.
And it was one of those where it's like I had to stop for a minute and be like, I've seen some things here, but like more poltergeist. Very rarely do you see like a full body apparition like that. And I was like, oh damn, I wonder who that was.
You go, wait a minute, I did see that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I'm looking down the hall, like I'm checking around the corner, like this man's sneaking this like
Beam me up,
into
Scotty.
a
He's
room, or
gone.
like I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Should
That's
you be
that.
back in your room?
Well, that's the like one of the things that we were trying to do is like if somebody has like dementia, Alzheimer's, if
Mhm.
they're an elopement or a low elopement risk, they may be in a regular room.
Mhm.
And if you see somebody disoriented in the hallway, you just kind of like, hey, where are you going? Like, these are the events going on. Can I help you get back somewhere? And, or they're, a friend coming to visit. And so I didn't think a lot of it until, like, the guy pretty much walked through me and then is gone 4 steps later.
Mhm.
It's incredible. Totally incredible.
That'll
Now
make
there's a lot of bigness in the news. Um, Colleen Meeting Red and I has been like really messaging back and forth about this and that. So, Colleen, you have a great question to ask David about what's going on now.
So we're just curious to know your thought process and thoughts on the Conjuring House. Obviously, that seems to be the topic of the day now. I actually can't. I'm still a little confused myself because I know that Jason Hawes paused the GoFundMe page yesterday, and then as
it
of
back. Yep.
and they pushed it back on again. And then I guess I don't understand real estate or transactions as well as I'm understanding, but he's super excited about that. It's still a possibility that he can get it. So he reopened the GoFundMe page again. So
Yes.
it's
On our page, we posted it trying to get people to help fund that because what he's proposing, if he does it right, what he's proposing, I think would be best for our community. You
I
know,
agree.
because if certain people, we all know who those certain people are that would buy it.
Correct.
It would be priced so high that no one would be able to, unless you're on a TV show that can afford $2,500 a night or something like that. You'd never be able to go there and actually enjoy it.
Right.
So I don't know. From what I take on it, it seems like someone went to the bank, they bought the debt,
Mm-hmm.
and I know a lot of times that will happen. And what happens is that they'll still allow the sale to go on, but maybe they'll set a minimum bid. So as long as that is made or met, then they'll allow the sale of the house, and that might be what happens. So
Yes,
It sounds like it. I'm sorry, go ahead, Nico.
essentially they buy like the back taxes or whatnot on the
yes,
house, and
Yeah.
then whatever they want a certain percentage of the house's value.
yep,
No, it'll generally be nowhere near what the property is like projected to be valued at, but they will start their bidding on the back end.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, that process can go on for years.
yep.
And one, it depends on how far back is everything, and two,
If it's
that they have the ability to overturn it within like a year or two, depending on if somebody makes payments and like all sorts of things. It like the legal situation with that can get kind of sketchy because you can have somebody be like, "I'm going to buy that," and then the current homeowners may pay it off, or they may sell outright to avoid that. And if that happens, then that company who buys the supposed debt gets kind of shafted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
it can happen. I know that a lot of times if you buy, especially back tax debt, a lot of times what you can do is set, say, a 30% on there. So
Mhm.
if they go to pay that back off, they have to pay that off, but then they have to pay, which would be paying
Interest.
you off
yeah.
Mhm.
essentially. And then you could add up to like a 30% on top of that. So you have to pay me off plus 30% to pay, to get you back being right again.
To
So,
be solvent, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
But,
with Andrea, coming out, one of the siblings of, you know, of the family,
yep.
you know, her plea to have Jason get it, that was very like, oh my gosh, she
Yeah.
really wants him to get it, And I know that it doesn't hold up, because her family sold it to, a long time ago and everything. But to me, she was original tenant there.
Hmm.
She lived the nightmares of
Mhm.
that place.
Right.
And I think she has 100% to say who she would like to have it to go to.
I
So,
agree.
I support that 100%.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think that Jason would do good with it, and if, like again, if he does what he says he would, and I wouldn't see why he wouldn't. He does what he says he would, then we'd all be able to afford to go there and reap the benefits of it. So
Wait, I know we was going to go there last year. We went on a vacation with my son and his family, and we got tickets to the house. It was in the hundreds. I mean, it was just ridiculous.
mhm.
And it was like, do we really want to go here? Because we went to the Lizzie Borden's house, which was very, very reasonable cost and everything.
Mhm.
And then, but Jacqueline wanted so much money to take the tour and everything. I was very skeptical about doing that, but we got the tickets, and then this whole thing came out about Jacqueline and Cody and Satori and everything, Jason, and then they kind of closed down the place. So we did get our money back, but the thing is, we wouldn't. I wonder if we would have got our money back if she would have told us, "Oh, hey, I'm giving you money back." We had a call them because we heard it on YouTube that was closing down. If we did not hear that on YouTube, we probably would have wasted hundreds of dollars to go
Yep.
there and nothing was there.
Yep.
So,
I know
so
that they've had a
yeah,
lot of problems and a lot of issues out of the last this
no,
last owner. She's I've watched some YouTube videos of people going in there to do a nighttime investigation, whatever it was they paid to do a full nighttime investigation. I'm sure it was a lot. But then she come just busting in the door and just making just crazy, unreasonable demands and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, I mean,
yeah,
this
my heart really went out to Jason's daughter, Satori, because she was wrapped up right in the middle of it, her and her husband. It's like, oh my God, poor lady.
Yeah, definitely.
it's funny because sometimes, and I don't know, it's just a feeling, but sometimes it seems like that woman had something in that house that got to her. It
You-
just
I think
seemed
so.
it just seemed like she completely just lost it. Uh,
Hmm.
she almost became possessive of the home, of what you could and couldn't do, what you could film, what you could show. What I mean, and it was almost like there was something just pulling the strings on her. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's interesting you said that because it's like I've been feeling that since day one with her,
Yeah.
really thinking that there's something that has taken hold of her that like you said, yeah, definitely more of a puppet strings aspect, and even to the point of like things that are happening in the personal world, and
Yes.
getting the DUI and stuff like that. I mean, from what I understand, it's very out of character for her. So it sounds like something, either she was very receptive of it and welcomed it in, or what. But yeah, it's very uncharacteristic of a person that doesn't.
That's how I felt. Was like that same thing. I felt like, man, this woman, it just feels like the house has got to her. If
Right.
there's something there that's an oppressive thing that's there, then it just seems like it got to her. And
Right.
and I'm not by any means psychic as far as I know, but I think that it's, I can pick up on some of that stuff just because, like you said, it was supposedly very out of character, because I know that Jason knew her pretty well.
Right.
And, he had talked about it quite a few times because it messed with him a lot about how she started acting,
Mm-hmm.
Well, she was really, really rude to Jason. I mean, the text that was shown and everything, it was just like you kind of felt something got a hold of her. Really.
Yes. Yeah.
They're doing this.
Yeah. I mean, you're like, what's going on? And then with the background of that house, I mean, it's just, it's a crazy place. I'd love to go and visit the place, but, I mean, honestly, with the background of that place, I could see why something like that. And I'm not very quick on, because most time people are, oh, demons or anything like that, and I just kind of roll my eyes and just like, whatever. That's not true. But I'm on a different level when it comes to that too. I don't really think of things as black and white like that. Over the years, I kind of have a weird way of looking at this stuff, but we know that this universe that we live in is stacked upon top of multiple other universes, and I really think that they're dimensional creatures, and I think that it's something that's akin to, say, a parasite. That say fifth, sixth, seventh dimension. It doesn't matter, as long as it's a dimension higher than ours. It could come down to our dimension, and that's what it is. It's no different than a tick on a dog. That's its job, and that's how it feeds. It feeds off those human emotions, and it can attach to people and do those things. And that's just something that just has resonated with me for a long time, and so I've kind of latched onto that and think that, rather than the Christian version of what these things are, I just think that this just seems to be more true to me, whether it's right or not.
And to your point too about like Jason having, he does have the purest of intentions for the property, which, for me, I, as a paranormal investigator, medium, etc., I appreciate that because, again, some people, there was a house, and I want to say, I don't know if it was in Iowa or I think it was in Iowa. You know which one I'm talking about?
No,
the Axe Murder House.
The Demon House.
Demon House, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the Demon House. I think it was Iowa. I'm not sure. But anyway, purchased and then demolished,
Did a show and then demolished it. Yeah.
Right. And then,
that was the Demon House. Yeah.
And then taking, for profitable purposes, taking the stairwell that led from the basement to the first floor, the dirt, the walls, and some of the artifacts that were found there, and then putting it in the museum. I saw it. I completely agree that, there's dark energy to it, but I also feel like it could have been possibly manifested by the people in the house. I don't know much about the Demon House, to be honest with you. I choose not to know a lot about stuff just so that I can go in with a pure blank chalkboard to do readings and things like that, so I can get the evidence I need. But I was very sad to see that was torn down. It could have been used for educational purposes. It could have been used for so much more. So I'm glad that Jason wants to do that with this. I'm very pleased.
Yeah, turn it over almost like a to the people type of thing that he's wanting to do. I think that's awesome.
Right.
Mm.
I agree.
You said something that I really, I guess, could say that I kind of resonate with a bit, and that's, I believe a lot of times we'll get questions like, "Hey, what famous places have you done, or what do you like to do when it's stuff like?" And I always say I like residential. I like to do residential hauntings better, and it's for the reason that you said, was that I think that intentions, when they're set on a place by millions of people, because all these people come out now and done this, and they're like, "Oh, you get scratched over here and you get this over here, and I think there's a demon over here." Those intentions can manifest stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they make an
Into the
egregore.
real world, they can manifest this
There you
stuff.
go.
And so when you're going there to investigate today, okay, yeah, you may get a bunch of stuff, but what is real to the location and what was manifested to that location?
Yeah.
When
Ding,
you're
ding,
doing
ding.
a home or someplace like that that's not, in the public eye, you are going to get closer to what's really there and not manifested. And I think that's why when it comes to doing stuff like that, I'm a little skeptical on what you may get, because there's been all kinds of intentions that have been set before,
Hmm.
on places purposefully that were not,
Mm-hmm.
and those intentions manifested themselves during the investigation. And so, I think that a lot of people need to be careful about that, because you can do that in your own personal life,
Yes, you
Uh,
can.
and you can bring things in unintentionally by manifesting these things.
I was
And
going to go
so,
there. Hmm.
yeah, so you manifest on these negative things and all that stuff, and guess what you're going to bring? You're going to bring that negativity to you, so.
Because we've had that here where we've had kids do stupid rituals to invite spirits in, and there's an area out here that was known in like the 80s and 90s in the Satanic Panic as being a meeting place where people go perform satanic rituals.
Mhm.
They It's in a large park, and I mean like an 80-acre park. Like this isn't like your cutesy little there's a playground park. Like it's a
Right.
huge like nature park.
Yeah.
There's Native American burial grounds, and a lot of horrible things have happened in this park. Like that's
Mm.
just a fact. But they had a bunch of kids hearing stories from their parents of, you know, people used to go up there and sacrifice babies or dogs, and like this
Mhm.
is where it happened. And then, to this day, there's people that they just demolished the pavilion that it supposedly happened in. But people still go up there, like trying to look for evidence of like people doing witchcraft and things.
Mhm.
And it's some of the myths have been debunked, but there is a dark presence there, and I'm not sure where it came from. I mean, it's on an Indian burial ground that they disturbed when they built the park.
Mm.
Mhm.
There's been like 20 missing persons and multiple people who've been harmed or found in the park. And there's been reports of like an 8 foot tall, quote unquote, demonic spirit that's a large horned figure
Mm.
that roams the park. And there was even a claim of albino cannibals who escaped an insane asylum back in like the 70s.
Wow.
That was debunked. That one's really funny, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the backside of this park in the, I believe, 70s and 80s used to be a clothing optional camping resort. And, some younger kids may have stumbled in deep enough in the park that they stumbled across some very pale adults doing adult things
Right.
and started the story that there's cannibals in the park. And it stuck around for years. It's still circulating, and it's like, no, there's no cannibals in the park.
That's
That's awesome. That's
that,
awesome.
that's hilarious.
I had to dig to find that one, and then when I found it, I was rolling, and I was like, "Oh God!" Like I can just imagine how this started.
Bunch of Northerners coming down,
Mhm.
pale.
That's right.
They're never getting the sun.
They're getting their son now. Yeah. Well, that's
So,
like the Myrtle Plantation. The Myrtle Plantation. There's basically conflicting stories about whether or not Chloe really truly existed and did what she did. There's evidence that proves that she's been manifested, and there's been experiments done in the paranormal world where you literally create an entity and a backstory
Yep.
to the person, and it's fictional, it's
Yes.
fiction, and
Yeah,
as long as you keep putting that out there, that information out there, and talk about it,
Yep.
you are creating and manifesting an entity that
Yep.
did not exist, that
Yep.
existed in our minds. So
we
it,
have
go ahead,
we have
Nico.
full papers like backing that up, going back to the 17 and 1800s with servitors and familiar spirits and witches' fetches, and
Mhm.
like these are spirits that were created by a person
Right.
and then got to a point where people see them, people know them, they have a name now, they have a personality,
Mhm.
and oh, even when people are like, I have a demon in my house, and I'm sitting there like,
Mm.
you got to ask the questions of like, okay, do you watch a lot of horror movies? Like, are you like, I don't want to say that religion's a bad thing because obviously I'm a religious person, but like, is there like a level of religious psychosis going on? Are you like an extreme religious person? There's like certain like religious groups that have stronger concepts around these types of spirits.
Right.
And have you like, are you in these deep, like things like that? And it's like, okay, well, you've clearly watched too much of, you
The
know,
Conjuring House.
The Conjuring House or, Zozo, all those. And one thing I will say about the Conjuring House universe is, did you hear that they had people, they were giving out holy water and had a priest present when they were watching the newest Conjuring movie? Because somebody supposedly got possessed during one of these,
One of the screenings, wasn't it? One of the
yeah,
screenings.
one of the screenings, a lady went into a psychotic episode, and I don't know if she had an epileptic fit or what. I didn't look too far into it,
Probably here in
but
the South. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
We watched it on. Me and the wife went and watched it on opening day, the newest one.
mhm.
Yeah.
But for those who aren't privy to it, so the film features a spirit called Valak, which is, I believe, it's the 62nd demon in the out of 72 of the Goetic spirits. It's not a demon. One, it's a Mesopotamian spirit.
Oh,
Two, it's like common in like most occult books, and like it's not really a bad spirit. And there was a joke going around with some of the people that I know that practice Mesopotamian sorcery. They're like, maybe I'll just go see the movie and we'll do an actual invocation of Allah just
yeah.
fuck with people. And I was like, you're so wrong for that. But if you do videotape it, I want to watch. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
that reminds me, we will be talking to Chris McKinnell, the
mhm.
grandson of the Warrens, in November. So, all this new stuff about the Conjuring House, I like to ask him what he thinks and everything, because he is very, very knowledgeable about the house himself,
But I agree with
about
him. Where
Annabelle and
Yeah.
everything.
there are people who come in certain psychological states and are more prone to having these experiences to films and shorts of things like the occult nature and the paranormal, and
Mhm.
like it's not. I'm not saying that these people aren't being affected by something. It's that
They're
as a
vulnerable.
society, that not only are they vulnerable, but like we've shrugged off like mysticism and things like that, and like people just don't know how to protect themselves.
That's the
Yes.
problem.
That's true.
That's
So, David, what do you think about the Annabelle? About being out there in public and prancing around?
On tour.
Yeah.
yeah, doing a grand tour like a rock star.
Exactly.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I know that there's a lot of things in the Warrens universe that don't mesh up. They told a lot of tall tales, and they've been caught in a bunch of lies. Tons of them. Um, they've done a lot of good things for paranormal investigation. A lot of good. I mean, a lot of the equipment the way we do things, and a lot of stuff like that is because of what they did. I think they set the groundwork for a lot of it, so they've done a lot of good. I think that's one thing that we talk about when we do our talks. Like we're doing one tomorrow. Hopefully, Jason will be able to go with me. But that's one thing that we talk about is your credibility,
Mhm.
and
Hmm.
that's something that you've got to protect, and you can't go out and embellish things and say things are this when it's not. It's the fish story, right? I caught a 6 foot fish, but the picture's a minnow, that you just put on the hook to try to catch. You never caught that fish. Don't lie. I mean, you either catch it or you don't. When it comes to stuff like Annabelle, I'm always intrigued with like the Warrens Museum and all the artifacts that they had. And I know, I do believe things themselves can be, I guess, for better
Have
word,
attachments or
yeah, have attachments. We had a little girl when we first started doing this stuff that I was trying to get an attachment out of her house. She was 7 or 8 years old, and if you're familiar with what the black-eyed children look like, I asked her to draw me a picture of what kept coming to her, and it kept telling her to harm her sister, kept telling her to hurt her sister, and do terrible things to her. And so she drew me this picture it looked like a little girl, black eyes, and her mouth was open, all the way open. And she had rows of teeth like a shark.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and this was the thing that was coming to her, telling her to hurt her sister. And these were actually family friends, people we knew. My son hung out with their son. They were really good friends. And this was his little sister. And so they came to us. And so I went there. Jason wasn't able to go the first time. So I went there to just to see if I could figure out what's going on.
Mhm.
And I I am pretty sure, 95% sure that I found the piece of furniture this thing was attached to. And it was in her bedroom. And and I kind of deduced that a little bit because I asked if there was ever time that from the time this started with her to this present time, was there a time that she didn't see it for a period? And they said yes. And I said, well, when was that? And was this piece of furniture not here in this home at that time? And they was in the process of moving. And so that piece of furniture for like 3 months was in a storage building.
Mhm.
And it was
Aha.
a piece of furniture got moved back into that room that it all started right back up again. And so me finding all that out and promising that little girl and telling it that I was going to get rid of it. I was going to take that piece of furniture to my house. Um,
Mhm.
and I was going to have fun with it, but
Was that a vanity?
huh?
Was it a vanity?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's I was sitting there like I just keep getting this like
So
just
did
like
I.
of vanity, and I'm sitting there like, hmm.
Yeah. And so I was going to let Jason come in the next day, not tell him anything, just let him go in and do his investigation, see if he comes up with the same things as I was going to do. But I took that picture and took it into the house. Like I said, we lived right across the street from him, and I was about to go to work that day. So I set it on top of the microwave, went to go get dressed for work, came back out, and it wasn't there no more. That picture was gone. And I asked my wife, I was like, "Where's this picture?" She's like, my wife's like, "I ain't touching that picture." And so I start looking everywhere for the picture. I open, just for whatever reason, I decided to open the cabinets above the microwave, and 2 shelves up, it was sitting on some plates. I was there with me and the wife being the only ones there. Draw your own conclusions, but it seemingly did it on its own. So, of course, I took it to work and talked to Jason about that part of it. Not quite what I found, because it's best if he go in and figure that out himself. I got off work that night, went in, and the house that we were living in at the time had the smoke alarms were built in with, they weren't battery operated. They was actually, had power running to them.
Hardwired.
And our one was right outside of our bedroom. And so 3 o'clock in the morning, thing just starts going crazy. Burp, 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 burp. I jump up out of bed. The second I open the door and step out into the hallway, it stops. And I'm like, "Yeah, I know what you're doing." I said, "I didn't invite you over to my house. You're not supposed to be here. And trust me, I'm still getting rid of you tomorrow." Closed my door and went back to bed. And I think it was a worse than what we had thought it was, because from that day on, they wouldn't answer their phone, wouldn't answer their door. They completely shut us completely out of their life.
Wow.
So Jason was never even able to go over there and do his investigation that next day. Yeah. It was terrible. But it shows you that things can be done that way. So I know that they can be, so I'm not going to dismiss anything like that for sure.
No,
I don't blame you one
Yeah.
bit.
out of
We
personal
almost
curiosity, was that pre 1950s? The piece?
I am not for sure. They bought it secondhand.
Okay.
So they bought it at a secondhand store. So
Because
it looked like it was not a modern piece, like, so
more
it was,
modern. Okay.
yeah, I think it was something definitely before, 70s or earlier, for sure.
Okay.
It was
Because there's
definitely
different. They use different materials to craft the mirrors,
right.
and you have silverback mirrors, aluminum back
Yeah.
mirrors, galvan and mercury, and then we have modern aluminum mirrors.
Right. Yeah.
And I did a research on like the different properties of the metals and when different types of paranormal activity started occurring in mirrors, which is why I was asking, because I was like, if it's pre-50s, it's either silver or it's mercury or lead, which would be very interesting.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely, I mean, it wasn't modern, like it wasn't, it was definitely older than, say, 80s or 70s. It was definitely
Yeah.
older than that.
So aluminum or older.
Yeah.
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 So we're almost to the end. I just want you to shout out to everybody in the audience about your podcast. When can we see your podcast? What can you tell us? Who is upcoming guests on your podcast?
That's usually what Jason does. Jason, where are you at? No, I don't
Jason,
know.
we need you.
Yes, I do need you, Jason. I hope you're all right, buddy. But we do shows Thursday night, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock Eastern time. And then we do a Saturday show from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. We do a 2-hour Saturday show. And, but tomorrow, from 2 to 4, we're going to be at the Knox County Library, doing a talk on the paranormal. And then we've got think it's 2 weeks from this week. We're going to be at the UT. They're wanting us to do a talk on paranormal, 1 hour talk on paranormal, and so that's going to be kind of fun. Um, and but upcoming guests, I'm pretty bad at, so I don't know.
Well, we just have to
Oh, we
tune
have,
in to find out.
yeah.
So you're going to
It's
make us
always
watch
on our
the
Facebook page.
podcast.
Our Facebook page, Paranormal 411. Jason does put all that stuff on there as far as our upcoming guests and stuff like that. We have 3 books out now, so you could also find those on Amazon, or probably easier to go to our website, paranormal411.org, and all of our books are listed there. So, yep.
Oh, cool. Well, you told Jason that we missed him. We hope he gets better. And
Yeah.
next time, hopefully, he can come on too as well.
It's-
But I just want to say, you guys, I think you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
I do watch a podcast now and then. Mostly good tips. How we can do our podcast and everything. But
That's okay. If you have any questions ever, get a hold of us. You know, you're friends with us on Facebook and stuff. Get a hold
oh
of
yeah,
us.
oh yeah. I
We
think
have-
this is the third time around being
yes,
a podcast together. So yeah.
absolutely.
But I just want to tell everybody to jump on over to Paranormal 411 on YouTube, subscribe, and of course, subscribe and like and share with In the Cauldron and Paranormal 411. And I hope everybody will have a blessed night. Go out and just enjoy the weather. At least it's nice and cool here.
Yes, it is here too.
Blessings, everybody. Good night.
Blessings. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.